Good to see you. I think the temperature is going to continually rise during the day. It felt good when I walked in and turned on the fans, opened up the windows, but you may want to locate one of these for the service to continue. Oh, Randy has a special. Show us yours again.
Oh,
that
one town.
So these have become part of our summer reading culture here. And I think you had something to do with that, Randy. I remember it right. Well, I believe these are going to be the last of our UU day lilies. As I went around this morning, I had a hard time coming up with one bouquet. So summer is progressive. So today's theme is on the role of nature in leading a spiritual life. And the title of this is called The Practice of Nature. I've explored and delivered this sermon probably numerous times before. But this is just a continuing snippet of part of our congregation here. What we hold in common is our connection, interest in this area, to our gardens, flower, natural lakes, streams, rivers, and how we construct our homes, and the community that we build. So the title is Practice of Nature. So prelude this morning comes from Matthew Halsall, who is a flugelhorn player and composer from England. And an album just came out last year, was titled An Ever-Changing View. And he packed up his mobile recording equipment and headed to North Wales and Northeast England to record natural acoustic sounds, compose music inspired by the scenery, and sync with nature and the British landscape. On the liner notes, Matthew said, I wanted to be in places with beautiful views and lots of natural light. Those locations give me a sense of freedom, a space to sit and create a moving landscape around me. Sometimes I would see a rainbow, or there would be clouds traveling down the street towards me. There's a beauty in the sense that things are always changing. The title of the album, An Ever-Changing View, comes from the experience of being in these natural locations and witnessing changing scenes, almost like a landscape painter taking their inspiration from the surrounding environment. The title of this is Mountains, Trees, and Seas. In our moment of centering silence, let us be mindful and alert to the here and now. Let us sit calmly on this warm summer morning. Breathe and listen to the sound of the singing. We're going to light our chalice this morning. And May, would you and Ollie, before Ollie runs off, would you two like to light the chalice? Or maybe it's too late. We light our chalice, fragment of stars and sun, to light our hopes and dreams, to make a way for peace and love. We're going to sing this morning with the organ. We have number 12 in our book. The title of this hymn is O life that maketh all things new. Let us rise if you are able. Play us a long, loud introduction to him, and we will join you on verse 1. Opening words this morning, again, come from Earth Prayers, a book of 365 prayers, poems, and invocations for honoring the earth. And this is from Walt Whitman. I swear the earth shall surely be complete to him or her who shall be complete. The earth remains jagged and broken only to him or her who remains jagged and broken. I swear there is no greatness or power that does not emulate those of the earth. There can be no theory of any account unless it corroborates the theory of the earth. No politics, song, religion, behavior, or whatnot is of account unless it compared with the amplitude of the earth, unless it faced the exactness, vitality, impartiality, and rectitude of the earth. Walt Whitman. Our group reading is number 660. And we're continuing this theme with some of the transcendentalist poets and writers from the 19th century, Walt Whitman and Henry David Thoreau. And this is a famous passage from Walden titled, "To Live Deliberately." I'll read bold if you join me on the italicized. Why should we live in such a hurry and waste of life? I wish to live deliberately to front only the essential facts of life.
I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not when I come to die, discover that I have not lived.
I do not wish to live what is not life. Living is so dear.
Nor do I wish to practice resignation unless it is quite necessary.
I wish to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life.
I want to life for us, to drive life as equal and reduce it to its
If it proves to be mean, then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish its meanness to the world.
Or if it is one, to know by experience and to be able to give the true account.
Thoreau and the Transcendentalists found in nature a philosophic model for leading a spiritual life. Through observation and intimate involvement with the natural world, insight and development of human capacity emerge. Thoreau challenges us to spend one day as deliberately as nature. What if you took this not as a one-time task, but as a daily discipline or daily practice in your everyday life? What would that look like for you? How would it apply to your personal circumstances? How would it relate to current political unease and societal challenges? Perhaps nature itself can provide a model that leads us toward calm stability, a long view, and a more natural way to experience our human embodiment. So for this morning's talk, I've come up with 4 practice points that occurred just this week as part of this practice of nature. What they are, as we go through them, is number 1, this week's Backwoods blog post. 2, a summer poem. 3, a campfire. And 4, a walk. Bill McGibbon, a fellow New England curator from Vermont, and naturalist, and a big hiker, would say that after his work routine and immersion in the media, culture, everyday stressors, to go for a hike would be one of his favorite things to do, to get out of doors any time of year for a break. And one time he said, sometimes it takes 2 days on the trail before I can get the CNN buzz out of my head. So what I'm going to read from first is this week's Backwards blog. And I know many of you are on the mailing list. Maybe you've read it. It's on the church Facebook page as well. But I'm going to reread it in its entirety just to provide a context for the talk, also for the YouTube service, for anyone who may not have read this. It opens up with a journal entry from Henry David Thoreau in 1851. A comfortable breeze blowing, the wind has fairly blown me outdoors. The elements were so lively and active, and I so sympathized with them, I could not sit while the wind went by. And I am reminded that we should especially improve the summer to live out of doors. What is the use of summer? Out of doors, my thought is commonly drowned and shrunken, pressed down by stupendous piles of light ethereal influences. So the pressure of the atmosphere is still 15 pounds per square inch. I can do little more than pressure the equilibrium and resist the pressure of the atmosphere. I can only nod like the rye heads blowing in the breeze. I expand more surely in my private chamber as far as expression goes, as if that pressure were taken off. But here, out of doors, is the place I store up influences. A little brook crossing a road, a corner road, a few inches depth of transparent water rippling over yellow sand and pebbles, the pure fluid of nature. How miraculously crystal-like, how exquisite, fine and subtle and liquid this element, which an imperceptible inclination in the channel causes to flow thus surely and swiftly. And all the revolutions of a planet, nature is so exquisitely adjusted. And the attraction of the stars do not disturb this equipoise, but the rills still flow the same way, and the water levels are not disturbed. The mind is subject to moods as the shadows of the clouds pass over the earth. Pay not too much heed to them. By the mood of my mind, I suddenly felt dissuaded from continuing my walk, but I observed at the same instant the shadow of a cloud was passing over the spot where I stood, though it was such of small extent, which, if it had no connection to my mood, at any rate suggested how transient and little to be regarded that mood was. I kept on, and in a moment the sun shone on my walk within and without. But this habit of close observation in Humboldt, Darwin, and others, is it to be kept up long, this science? Do not drag the heels of your experience. Be impressed without making a minute of it. Poetry puts an interval between the impression and the expression. Waits till the seed germinates naturally. July 23rd, 1851. My commentary. It's a rainy summer day here in the Northwoods, July 23rd. On days like this, the coffee pot is on the stove. Of course, I always have a coffee pot on the stove. And time lends itself to contemplation and casual meanderings on the computer. Today I decided to check out entries in Henry David Thoreau's journal from 1851, and since this is July 23rd, when I was writing it, that's the entry I turned. You could say that personal journaling was the blogging format of the 19th century. A journaler would write something each day, personal observation, daily detail, and then perhaps it might be posted or published years later as a book for others to read. These days, a blogger can write, click, and have global reach in seconds. And I'm not sure what Thoreau would think of that. The above entry is what Henry David Thoreau was posting 173 years ago today. Apparently it was a breezy summer day and Thoreau was sauntering out of doors by the corner road, swept along by the influences of nature and science. By 1851, he'd already moved back to Concord after spending 2 years in a cabin on Walden Pond, 1845, 1847. But many of his practices from the pond followed him back to town. One such practice was the value of going for a walk each day before hiking was really a thing. Besides the physical benefits, he realized that the daily practice of getting out of his writing chamber greatly improved his writing. It provided mental space to create, as well as plenty of material or influences to include in his writing. Another observation of Thoreau is utilizing nature itself as a model of insight and behavior. For instance, in this entry, Thoreau notes the natural rate of experience of clouds. In the same manner that clouds form, move, and dissipate, affecting shade and sunlight, so too, the human mind is subject to the same influences that can shift our mood, thoughts, or emotion. He suggests that we pay not too much heed to them. Instead, it's important to create a space between the impression and the expression. And in that space, the mind can use the interval to not do anything at all. Just wait. Wait for the seed to germinate naturally, as Thoreau would say. And what happens next, whatever that might be, we're more apt to go smoothly. Do not be jarred by immediate circumstances. Create an interval, and then allow things to play out as they may. In front of our farmhouse, the queen of the prairie are now in bloom. On a breezy day like today, fluffy pink heads are nodding lightly at me, and I think of Thoreau. What can we learn from nature on this summer's day? Get out of doors, I say. See if you can find your hiking boots. I know that was long. I've got some slides to show, and this, as a queen of the prairie, that I'm referring to in the latter part of that entry. And now, even they have passed. I brought in the last little sprig of queen of the prairie that is remaining in front of the farmhouse. This is it. When I walked down along the river yesterday, I came across a very similar plant, Joe Pine, which is everywhere right now, especially along rivers and streams, and it's a common perennial. You can actually buy them online if you don't have any. And so I brought in a few, and they're in the vase on the right-hand side. So you can see the solar panel in the back. This is just another angle that was not included in the blog. And you can see the house in the background. And notice how tall the queen of the prairie is. It's this long stem. Joe Pine would go 6 feet tall, apparently, and the queen of the prairie could rival it. And as I was trying to take photographs of this, it was barely a breezy day, and the Queen of Prairie was just in constant motion. And it was not for my iPhone 15 that could freeze. I wasn't sure if it could actually get an image with something moving this much. Nodding in the breeze like the rye heads, as Thoreau says. And one of the teachings of, and the iPhone did a pretty good job of freezing it. And this long stem and this top-heavy pink puff in the wind, it doesn't take much for movement. But again, that stem and stalk is so strong, even in the strongest of winds, it will wave and frolic and bounce right back up calmly. In time, when circumstances of the wind changes, it'll come right back up. Maybe it's lost a few of its petals that are so delicate, when I place it in the truck, just little pink angel dust falls from the head. And these are a couple of more common Canadian lilies. Again, I'm a walking trail from our house down to the river. And we had never seen these until our wedding in 2002, first week of August. All of a sudden, these Canadian lilies were everywhere along the walkway. And ever since then, it's like a little memento. We know it's our anniversary when we see the Canadian lilies. This is just one more close version. Yeah, they're probably the bell is like this tall, and they hang down like a little cluster, and you can't even see them typically. They're just pointing down. It's the most amazing wild perennial lily. So this is a photograph that appeared on the blog, and one of my photo tricks or techniques with my iPhone, I just love to zoom in and look closely at whatever it is. And I do this all the time, be it with plants, flowers, or food. I'm zooming in. So here's just a couple examples of zooming in to nature. The first one was called Big Yellow, I call it. This is called Big Pink. No, Big Red. This is Big Pink, one of the peonies from the garden. And just moving with the camera, trying to capture images. These flowers are so fleeting. And there's some iris brought in to our kitchen. And a couple of weeks ago, Bill White brought in some echinacea, earlier than usual, and we have some down by the cabin. On the stem, you can see the stem coming up out of the bottom, it's holding up here. And then I do my little zoom trick. And these are just trying to capture images of something that's so ethereal. Thoreau would call these influences of our day, that our eye, hearing, our senses collect in passing. Number two, a poem. Thoreau mentions in that reading that poetry puts an interval between the impression, whatever you're seeing in nature on your walk, and then the expression of it. If you're talking about it, sharing a story with someone, painting it, writing about it in a journal, capturing a photograph, whatever that relationship or influence that blossoms out of that experience, it's that interval out of creative solitude or silence that you don't really know what's going to arise, how it's going to affect you, an emotional response, or to share that maybe no one else will ever see or experience what you saw. Maybe someone was with you, or maybe you share that story through social media or whatever it might be. So this is a poem I wrote a couple summers ago called Summer Highway. The summer days are leisurely paced if left to themselves. Daylilies opening to the sky, hummingbirds making their regular rounds, sunshine bathing the environs below. But I have a busy schedule today, and my list is long with more than is likely possible. And then I'll add to that list again tomorrow. While standing on the riverbank overlooking the stream, as I am in between tasks, taking a break, I'm looking at the gray stone beach below as it rounds the oxbow. Odd as it may seem, I notice a pair of orange feet stuck, as it were, on the beach, or as if someone had accidentally left them behind, heading to their next appointment. Just above the orange feet, on closer observation, I see a white dot. At that moment, the gray beach starts to wiggle and shimmy like a vertical pole just let go of an old black and white television set, and a portion of the beach slides into the river. 12 baby mergansers and adult supervision are having nothing more to do with me. Synchronized, cautious, perturbed, free, enjoying a summer's day on the flowing beach. I was probably 75 feet away, looking down on this beach, and these mergansers perfectly blended into the gray stone and gravel on the waterfront. And they really did. I couldn't tell what it was until it started to vibrate and slid into the water. Just this week, I was working around the cabin, and I heard this splashing and thrashing of water in the river. The sound was heading upstream, and I knew instantly what it was. This energetic burst and sprint across the water by more mergansers. Much larger this time. They're almost fully grown now by late July. About 10, almost a dozen, and just like an Olympic sprint heading upstream to their next point. And I had never seen mergansers in my life until I spent time in the cabin. And it's a meat-eating, or fish-eating duck. Great swimmers, beautiful, beautiful birds. And we spend our summers in the water with mergansers. Number 3, campfire. As I was collecting firewood to build the fire, I looked up and there was an eagle flying towards the clearing by the campfire, right at me. He was attempting to land on top of a tree in the clearing when it spotted me, apparently, by the campfire, changed his mind, and flew back towards the river, and then eventually upstream. He was the closest an eagle could ever come to the cabin or the clearing. Typically, they'll stay across the river, across the stream. But this majestic bird just overhead. And at the campfire, I am burning some of the cedar planks from a recently decommissioned rope bridge that used to span the gully between the cabin and the sauna, as I told the story in photographs a couple of weeks ago. These planks have served their purpose, and now they are providing a summer campfire fuel, sparks flying to the night sky, their exit from one form to another. All is transient and permanent, moving constantly towards their next assignment and expression. I happened to shoot a video of this fire. The camera angle is going to get weird in a minute. It wasn't done on purpose. And you can see the planks off to the side. And again, videos don't capture, it very, very well. No matter how good our cameras get, how convenient. But I think, especially with videos, when you hear the sound and movement. I know, like our trip to Newfoundland last year, I look at a lot of the photographs, which are great, but when I go to those videos, it's almost like I'm back. And it's triggering those sensations or new things that are coming up. Just an amazing advance in the 20th and 21st century. That Thoreau, was doing it on the sauntering trail. We were talking this morning, Josh, about in Holton. You can find these great spots for manual hiking or on our bikes or motorcycles. The same experience being surrounded by and a part of this natural world. So in closing, number 4 was a walk just a couple of nights ago. And I didn't even notice it at first. I was coming across, I heard it was quiet. I wasn't playing any music, just walking along the farm road and could hear this quiet buzz, this buzz in the background. And it's the early crickets just arriving in farm fields. A little earlier than usual once again. And that is my memory of August and early September until the first frost. These crickets, this background hum, and it will be deafeningly loud by mid-August. The great saints and mystics talk about, if you listen closely, you can hear the hum of the universe. It sounds a bit like an om from the Hindu tradition. It's an internal vibration and sound, and it's resonating in all of creation, in all of nature. Constant background. If we can pick up on it, if we're aware of it, or finding that connection to ourselves, reflection, the people that we're sharing it with, in our surroundings, in our community. All this is part of that, what I call the practice of nature. To get that CNN buzz out of your head, and connect with the natural cosmic blend of what is. In closing, a quote by Thoreau. My life partakes of infinity. The air is as deep as our nature's. I wish to transcend my daily routine and that of my contemporaries, to have my immortality now and in the quality of my daily life. You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave and find your eternity in each moment. And now as we extinguish chalice, may our lives be reflections of the beauty, peace, and joy that is possible in this world. And may the love we find in this place and amongst our friends sustain us as we go our separate ways. Let us go on with our day. It is good to have been.
We want to thank everybody for tuning in today. If you'd like to show your support, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and help us out by sharing this message by clicking the share button. If you'd like to make a monetary donation to you, Church Holton, there is a link to our online donations in the video description down below. And again, thank you so much and have a blessed day.